as far as like an investment standpoint goes, there's just like nothing, like it's gonna come back down to like around here minimally, more than likely it's gonna come back down around here. And if it doesn't, and then it moves up and then it closes above like this high here, then you're like, okay, well, now I'll look to get in like around here, because now I got further confirmation that this thing is moving up. Using your breakup structure levels is really the most fundamental part. That's really going to tell you the majority of what you need to know.
Okay.
So like looking like at the weekly, I know I got a lot of stuff on here, but where was that one chart that I had? Because I had it, I think it was on like a different time frame. Yeah, where I had this right here. I had pulled that the fib tool on that. I think it was like a 4 hour. Yeah, it was on the 4 hour. I pulled that, and you could see like when you go up, you see like that's what it's kind of been working around, and it's really fighting that right there. You remember? I don't know if you remember a while back. Um, we had this as our daily breakup structure here, and you remember I said like I'm still not convinced that the daily high is in, because I haven't seen the pullback that I want.
Yeah, you
And
didn't want to move it, did you?
yeah, yeah, and I haven't checked it in a while. Let's see what it is now. Yeah, but like I said, this is where like I'm starting to think about it, but I'm just like I really, I want to see it kind of pull back a little bit more to really kind of like call that the top. And that's me
Oh,
personally,
22, 24%.
Yeah, yeah. And when I had said that, I was like, this box is where I will start looking, and that's when we came down, we touched the top of that one a little bit, and we're creeping lower and lower. So like right now we're like almost dead in the middle of that box,
Mm.
um so I think that you know will more than likely come lower. I think I think we'll probably end up coming down to here, but like I said, minimally, we're gonna get a sweep down here. And then, you know, let's say this is like an uptrend on like higher time frames, like it's the beginning of one. We need to like this needs to break. Like we need to see this change. Let me remove that. Like we need to see like this is a downtrend right here. You know what I mean? Like it's going down. So if this pattern remains the same, I can remove those. Like if this pattern remains the same, then it should, come back up to, it's kind of come there. So I would say like around here. Let's look and see what this one did. So if we measure like from this low to that high, so then it kind of came down, and then that was there. So let's kind of do it to that. Let's move it to there. Just thinking. Okay. So on this one, yeah, this is kind of where I had it. Like before, I had it on the lower time frame, the 4 hour, which is like right there. Um, That wasn't one. That
So you're
was,
expecting it to come back up to the 50 EQ, aren't you? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, that's yeah. It's gonna come back up before it goes back down. Uh, Not it's gonna, but it should. I mean, like look at like what it's been doing. Like it comes up, and then we started losing the lows. We bounced off the lows, then we lost the lows there, and then it kind of like this was probably like the let me get rid of that. This was probably like the 25% mark, somewhere around here, and then this was the EQ mark, um, and then we're losing those now too. Like it's closing below those. It's struggling. It's trying to stay above, um, but you know, I think one way or the other, it's more than likely going to come up because there's definitely like some let's look at the 4 hour to get like a little better information as far as what needs to be filled. um yeah, so like right here, I would even just move that to there, right? Even move that to there. Let's look at the 1 hour and see what that is. Yeah, a lot of this is filled. There's like a little bit here. You don't want to get too lost in the weeds. You know what I'm saying? Like this big move down here, like you can see, like it was always going to come back up and kind of fill this. Um, okay, it hasn't closed above that. So I'm like looking for the areas that, like the big money hasn't like filled yet, for places that they'll bring it back up to, and you know, kind of dump it from there. Um there's like small little areas in here. Um like that little area right there, that right there. Yeah, it's pretty it's actually pretty like filled up. So from like, from an investment um, point of view, there's more liquidity to grab down here than there is up here. So this is tough. I'm just thinking, I'm gonna walk through it because I haven't charted in a while. Okay, so like we had this big bounce, big shut up, and then it came back and kind of hit the EQ of this candle, but there's still a lot down here to fill, which is why I think like this area is really where it's coming. If I had to say like where it was gonna come back up to and like reject from, no, mine's right up with that box. There it is. Yeah. Yeah. I really say, okay, get rid of this those bucks. Like I would say minimally, like it's gonna come up to, one of these levels, and then move down. I'd be surprised that if it, comes above this area right here. Like I'd be surprised if it comes above like that right there. I really don't think I don't think that one's gonna be hit. That one maybe in the, these two maybe, but that's all ways away. I think those are really the ones to those are the areas to look at. Yeah, this one looks good.
I mean, there isn't much of a move up there, is there, before we're expecting it to go back down again?
No, well, to here is 1.76. That one's 2.5. That one's 5. And that one's almost 6. I would more bet on it coming to, depending on like the time that it gets there, how long it takes. So if it comes up quick, then, more in those areas, the higher ones. So like if it were to come up kind of fast, I would think that, it would hit one of these two. But if it's kind of like starts ranging and doing this, like it's likely not going to. It'll likely just squeeze into here and then dump,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking right there. So from an investment point of view, uh, you know, it's just not like, it's not enough for me. Like it's just, it looks good. Like it looks like it's trying. You know what I'm saying? Like if you look at it on like the daily, it looks like it's trying to start something. So I think the first place to really think about putting some money in would be down here, and not everything you have, you know. And again, we have to kind of just watch it as it comes down. Now, from like a day trading point of view, or there's a lot of trades to take, and that's kind of what these are more for. And you can go down, obviously, in time frames, and kind of find other things. But for me, like it's in a downtrend, and like look here, like this, it came down and it like grabbed all this liquidity that was sitting under here, right? It swept it, and then it never even like wicked the high like that brought it down there. Like it continued to fall. So I mean, there's just nothing to me that says it's going up right now. You know what I mean? Not in the like the midterm kind of sense.
Yeah.
It may be like long term, but for right now, and for the midterm, I think it's going down. And I think that these are like some areas to look at, like this one, this little spot right here definitely looks good for like a little for it to come up and kind of grab it, sweep this, and kind of dump down off of that. Um, And this is like just like the next area that I would look at, like right in here,
It's so
like right
important, isn't it?
there.
Being able to see the difference between, the internal structure and the major structure,
Yeah.
to see the pattern where we're going next.
Yeah. It's it's easy to get like kind of lost in the time frames and mm, the minutia, so to speak. But
Because I would often do that. I had the internal structure to look bullish, and I'm like, oh, we're going up. I'm not
yeah.
zooming out on the higher time frame, as you say, and seeing actually we're not. It's just what you call it, minor structure, minor internal
Mm-hmm.
structure.
Mm-hmm. And it could be like major structure but on a lower time frame, so you just have to adjust your expectations of that, you know what I mean, accordingly. So if you're in an uptrend on the 5 minute, but you're in a downtrend on the 1 and the 4 hour and the daily and everything else, like, you know, you have to take profits. That's why I'm always saying, like, you have to take profits. Like, you can't just, that's trying to like catch a knife and just like ride it, you know, to the end, like just crossing your fingers, hoping that that was the bottom or that was the top, when it's not necessary. Like, you can get in a trade, take some profits, and it doesn't matter if you have $5 in the trade or $5,000 in the trade. Take profits. Like it doesn't, like, don't look at the dollar value, look at like the percentage that you're in uh you know in a gain or a loss. So you're trying to gain percentage points over time. That's going to translate to your like account size relative to what you have in your account. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So if you have, like, say $100 to trade with, and you're always trying to make, you know, $20 to $50 on a trade, you're never gonna gain anything. You're just gonna lose. You know what I mean? But if you just try to gain like a couple of dollars, here and there, and you're taking profits, and then hey, when you take profits and you remove risk from your trade, um, you know, that will add up over time, and you'll minimize your losses, and your gains will stack up, versus, every now and then you get like an amazing trade and you're up, you're $50 on your $100 account or whatever. I'm using arbitrary numbers, but uh versus like the next, 5 trades, you're probably going to lose 10, lose 20, lose 15, lose 5, and then, now you're back down to like, even, and then you lose a few more, -10, -20, up, you're up 50, you see what I'm saying?
yeah,
Versus if you were to just like, try to, make, 5 or 10 off of a trade, and you leave a little bit in there, like after you removed your risk or you've taken profits and you're not going to lose anything and you made a little bit, and then say it does go in your direction and then you make a lot more, great, you know what I mean? But if it doesn't and it goes against you, you still either took a little bit of profits and or removed risk. So you're kind of staying like even keel, and you're just slowly crawling up. It's like the tortoise and the hare, you know what I mean?
yeah. You said this the
um
other day to me, didn't
yeah, I
you? And
mean,
it's
and
so true.
it's hard, like, trust me, like, I get it, I struggle with it like big time. I really had to, I had to lose a lot and watch a lot of profits evaporate, to really kind of learn that lesson.
Well, I'm not getting
And
liquidated every week now
well,
because I'm
that's
not
good.
using I'm not using
Yeah,
high leverage. I'm not using 50% of me account,
yeah,
so
yeah. Don't risk it all, don't, like, that's just, you're not going to grow an account like that. Like, you don't want your stop loss too tight, but you need to adjust your stop loss or your, position size, um relevant to your account size, or your expectations, because all you're going to do is just slowly just watch your account dwindle and then have to refill it. And you're just, you're just, it's like going to a casino, like, the house always wins kind of thing.
yeah,
um that's gambling. Whereas, just, be patient and, you know just take profits, and don't worry about making like so much on a trade. Just worry about making a little bit on a trade, or at least not losing much or anything on a trade. And as you like hone your skill, you'll be able to widen that up a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, you'll be able to, broaden that kind of range, give yourself a little more room by increasing your position or your leverage, or your stop loss. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Uh, so I would just say, like, I wish that in the beginning, like, I would have, kind of taken that approach. Um, it would have saved me a decent amount of money. I mean, luckily, I didn't lose a lot of money trading, um, like, not like on leverage, because I was pretty like strict on myself as far as, like, my risk tolerance, and what I was willing to lose. And I would put money in, positions, you know in like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and whatnot, that were long term, and I would put them in at good spots and just let those be working for me in the background. And then I would trade, and I would just be very, like, critical of, like, my leverage trading. So luckily I didn't lose a lot, but I could have made a lot more if I would have just kind of had that mindset, of just not trying to, like I say, swing for the fences on every trade, and hit a home run on every trade. Um, and just, be happy with, um, you know, arbitrary number, but be happy with a $20 win versus $100 win,
yeah.
or be happy with $0 loss versus, a $20 loss. So that's really important.
I
It's vital for you to ever succeeds, for anyone to ever succeed in trading, like 100% vital.
Great. When I lose a trade now, I'm not seeing 25% of me, balance go down.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
I heard a
Yes,
good quote
good.
this week. Slow and steady wins the race. That's how you become a millionaire.
Yep.
Uh, It's exactly, what you were saying to me, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't
That's
risk
the
it all
tortoise.
just on a few.
That's the that's literally the tortoise and the hare right there,
Yeah.
uh, it's
I can
funny.
I can feel a thumbnail coming on.
Yeah. But it's so important, and it's I mean, it's easy to ingest all this information from, you know uh, YouTubers and all of the trading experts that got in Bitcoin when it was really low, and now they've got a ton of money to throw at things, and they're geniuses and whatnot. And um it's easy to listen to that, and it's just unfortunate that it's not that easy to trade. um it's doable, it's just not easy. You just have to be smart about it, and it's a lot more than the TA. Like, it's so much about just managing your expectations relative to your account size, and like the type of trade you want to take. I know I say this all the time, but it's so important. you know it's so important. Like, if I'm looking at like a 1, a 5 on a, 15-minute chart, and that's how I'm planning my trades, I'm not going to stay in that trade for days. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be like in and out relative to those time frames. Now, if I think that, the higher time frames are turning around, and I'm using those lower time frames as my first signal, then yeah, I may use them that way, but I'm going to be really aggressive with taking profits and removing risk, and I'm probably going to set up multiple trades, because you're more than likely not going to just nail it on the first try. It's like somebody we used to know, like, they would, catch the falling knife or whatever, and they would get into trades, you know, the couple that I ever saw them get in, and they'd be out in less than a minute. So it's like, then, like, yeah, maybe it would go in their direction long term, but they got out so fast where it was just like, it was really an ego thing, and it could have easily went the other way, and they'd have been looking stupid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just think it's better to just really just dial it back as far as like what you're putting in, and what you expect out of each trade, um, and adjust those according to the time frames you're looking at, and obviously what the chart is doing overall. But um just understand that you can scale that up. Like, it's not that you always have to do that. Like, and as your account grows, you'll be able to put more in, but also as your skill grows, you'll be able to add a little bit, open up your risk tolerance a little bit as well. You know what I mean? So it's just something like you just have to kind of grow that. And I think, like, everybody, myself included, in the beginning, it's like you just like you want it all, and you want it so fast, and you learn these things, and it seems so easy, and you end up like just throwing so much money, and you're just YOLO, you know what I'm saying? Like, risking it all, and you lose it all, but every now and then you get a good winning trade, and you're like, oh, okay, it's good, it's good, it's good. And then, you lose it again. Whereas if you just kind of take a more measured approach, you're gonna like end up a lot better in the long run, a lot better. I think that is like 100% the most important thing to learn in trading. Like, TA is it, it's complicated, but it's nowhere near as complicated or as difficult as like the psychology aspect, and just managing your emotions, and your bankroll. That's the really, really difficult part, but it's doable. It's certainly doable.